And I fully agree with the Mayor Pro Tem that this ought to be the last conversation we have about this, because we put it in writing into the plan, into wherever we need to put it, so that this doesn't happen again. And I would like, Mayor, if we could, before we make this decision, is if Ms. Hodge would calculate for us the cost to go back for those people who are currently in the drop plan to see, excuse me, how much money are we talking about for retroactivity?
Why don't we have you, Pam, go back and do how much it would cost retroactively, so on and so forth. I think also draw up a proposed change to the drop plan pursuant to our discussion. I think also draw up the proposed budget amendment, and I think you have to call our actuary and see if this impacts in any way people choosing to, one of the things in that cost-benefit analysis, it may not, because it's not that much. It's $5,600 or whatever, so it is a lot. But will it affect more people to choose, and therefore change the calculation that it is or is not cost neutral? I think that council just needs to know that, so they make the decision with all the information.
And with those numbers also.
Right, with the numbers of the retroactive.
I don't want him just to say it is cost neutral or not. I want to know this is what the impact is.
Right, this is what the impact is.
One more caveat, we may not need any drop plan amendment at all. It may just be a budget amendment.
Okay.
That's something we can look at.
Well, just look at it and make the recommendation to council of how you would suggest they would go with these various options that have been discussed here today, and the cost of those, and then the cost or effect it may have if both are adopted on people opting the plan, and what that might do to the plan. So.
Because we're talking about active employees whose benefits, salaries, everything are covered in the annual budget. So, but
when the ordinance need to change, that was specifically saying if you choose to go in the drop plan, you will not receive COLA on the active side and the drop plan side.
Right. And the Mayor Pro Tem gets back to Councilor Thomas's point, to where if you don't change the drop plan to specify exactly what it is, have that discussion and vote, then you will have to discuss it every single year in the budget amendment. You'll just have to make a decision every single year. So, all right. I think we just look at a way to come back with proposals for council so they can see it in writing and the numbers and make a decision at that point. Okay? Thank you all. Thank you for being here. Councilor Thomas.
I do want, before our public safety guys leave, I do want to say that I know that this is an issue particularly for Mr. Robinson, but for your information, if you don't know, in 15 days, Mr. Robinson is going to be retiring. He has given 47 years to the Columbus Police Department, and we thank you for that service.
Thank you very much. And appreciate y'all being here this morning. Truly. All right. Mr. City Manager, just keep on going.
Madam Mayor, we have a brief update or presentation on the naming of the South Lumpkin Trail. Director Rick Jones.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, Mayor, and members of council. As the City Manager has already told you, this will be brief. This is the briefest presentation you're going to see from me. This deals with just naming of the South Lumpkin Multi-Use Trail itself. From that standpoint, you familiarize yourself again with the length of this. We just recently had a dedication for this. This trail is actually under construction now. It runs really from Conceda Road, just past Torch Hill, a little ways, with the understanding, or at least hope one day, of actually connecting that trail on into the National Infantry Museum itself. From that, we did an initial poll for names using the internet this time, and looking at trying to come up with a name. We set some names out there. We advertised for it. We let folks come in and vote on the internet, And we also, at this particular stage of the game, asked them to suggest a name for the trail as well. Some of the names that were suggested, being the internet, we cannot share with you at this point, and would not want to share with you at this point. Trust me. But nonetheless, here we are. This is the listing. And then from that, we took really the top three. You see here this Follow Me Trail, the Wounded Warrior Memorial Trail, the Chattahoochee Choo Choo. Those are the top three. And we put them back out again for folks to vote on. And in doing so this time, we went even another step further in trying to get the word out. We actually ran an ad in the paper about twice a week for about 3 weeks there so that folks would understand and know where to go to. We put it on our website. We sent out, put it on our Facebook page. We sent out an email blast. We did everything we could to generate some support in terms of the name itself. The final poll results came back this way, really, with the fact that the Follow Me Trail really got the most votes in terms of that, with the Wounded Warrior coming back as second, and then going on for the Chattahoochee Choo Choo from that standpoint. So with that in mind, really, the name we suggest to you today is the Follow Me Trail, that we go ahead and name that. The importance of doing that is a timing factor for us now. With the trail under construction, we're trying now to get to the point where we can start actually putting the signage up eventually. And we have to order that signage way ahead of time to make that work. So with that in mind, we're going to recommend that to you, and we will come back if there's no disagreement or questions about it. We will come back to you the next council meeting with a resolution asking your support on that and going forward. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilor Thomas.
Mr. Jones, before you go, would you, as you're looking at this plan and so forth, if there's something along the trail that we could name the Wounded Warrior something,
certainly,
would you take a look at that and let's see if there's not something that we can also incorporate that?
Be glad to.
Thank you.
And Mr. Jones, can you also, once we decide that we're going to name the trail this, and we have that name and date, if we can invite the Secretary of the Army to come down?
Yes, ma'am.
Our congressional delegation.
Absolutely. Be glad to. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, if there are no questions of Mr. Jones, we're going to move on to the next presentation update. And I bring this to you, and let me just say before I go to this one, during the course of the budget process, you asked for a number of updates or things to bring back for discussion, and I want you to know that I have a very long list of those, and from Councilor Thomas, from the cell phone update is scheduled to come, the City Services Center parking garage update from the number of handicap spaces, the cell phone update. I've got dates for all of those things, and so you're going to start to see those at the end of my agenda. And one thing that was asked for is a take-home car and or car allowance, and so we have that today. But I want you to know that there's probably 12 to 15 updates on my list of updates that's going to be coming to you based on what you asked for. And so know that we haven't forgotten them. They are coming. I just want you to know that. So with that, Deputy City Manager Goodwin.
Okay, good afternoon.
And this will be very brief, and from after this presentation, Councilor Allen, I know that you're one of the ones who asked for the car committee to reconvene. I want to give you this, and then from there, you've got information that, yes.
Okay, good afternoon. What we've provided to you is the full report on the take-home car program that we have currently, and the presentation that I'm going to give you is very brief. It just summarizes, if you will, the document that you have before you. And this report actually shows the take-home car criteria that's listed on page 3. It also talks about the periodic use-only policy of our city vehicles, and again, that is on page 4. Also, car allowance listings, all of those individuals who currently receive a car allowance, and we'll just list that for you openly. And then, of course, the listing of take-home vehicles is also included. It breaks it down on the general government side, public safety, and then, of course, provides to you the values of those vehicles collectively. On the general government side, we have 6 departments that have 12 take-home vehicles total. 6 departments, 12 vehicles. And those vehicles include, and of course you can find on page 5 of your report the exact numbers of take-home vehicles for each of those particular departments. We have the city manager, district attorney, information technology, public works, the golf course, to include both, of course, Oxbow, Bull Creek, and then parks and recreation. Those are the 6 departments with 12 vehicles that are currently being taken home. On the public safety side, we have 6 departments that take a total of 206 vehicles home. Most of these are unmarked vehicles, but some are marked vehicles. But these are take-home car. These do not include, if you will, those vehicles, police cars and those kinds of things. We're not including those in the take-home numbers.
The pursuit marked
vehicles are not
vehicles
included
are
in
not
that.
included in.
That's correct. And that, of course, includes all of our public safety departments, and those are the 6 vehicles with 206 vehicles that we take home. Under the take-home values of those particular vehicles that you see in your report, general government 12 take-home vehicles come to $71,841.75. Again, this is the appraised value of those vehicles currently. Under public safety, those 6 departments with 206 vehicles that are taken home, their appraised value is $1.5 million, $1,494,219.20. And of course, this includes the equipment packages in those vehicles as well. So all of that is inclusive in terms of those costs. Next, we have in your document the car allowances page. And there are currently 13 individuals that receive that receive car allowances. And these individuals, of course, has the option of receiving a city vehicle or a car allowance, and they opt to receive the car allowance. And if they use and then receive this car allowance, they cannot in any way utilize a city vehicle for city business. They have to utilize their personal owned vehicle, their POV. And those who are currently receiving these car allowances, pretty much have responsibility for operations of large segments of city functions I'm sorry.
What's the range on take-home car allowances? What's
The
the
monthly-
lowest fee and what's the highest fee?
$632.50 is the what everyone receives per month. We think we perhaps have one that receives $650. So everyone receives $632 per month. $632.50. Yes,
so-
that's the gross. $632.50.
Okay, so one person receives $650? Why is
Yes.
that?
Well, that was an employee I made a commitment to without knowing what the exact amount of the car allowance. And because I quoted him that, I followed through with it.
And he reports to you?
Yes.
So could you direct him that his policy's $632.50 and that's what it's going to be from now on?
Well, this was when this person was recruited, and the commitment letter was given. And once the commitment letter was given, I just didn't go back and try and change it.
Well, I was just trying to be consistent with everybody.
Yeah, I understand, but that's where it came from.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Thomas.
The car allowance covers all expenses of the car. In other words, if you're receiving a car allowance, you can't go to the our gas station and fill up on, is
That's
that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
So
yes, that covers your
insurance,
maintenance.
all of those expenses for a car are considered covered by the
Exactly, that
632.50.
632.50. Yes, all inclusive. Mhm. And of course, the car allowances, as you can see, comes up to $98,880
Now, and
total.
just for additional information or clarification, if a person travels beyond a 50-mile radius, I believe it is, they can bring their gas receipt, and we will reimburse them for fuel. Let's say if they go to Athens for a conference.
You mean in one trip?
Yes. Yes.
Not if you receive
Yeah.
the car allowance.
Yeah, if you,
Oh,
Yeah.
Pam, I'm not familiar with that.
yeah, just please clarify.
If you're outside the MSA, we will pay you mileage, but it's at a reduced rate. So all active employees receive 57 cents per mile. But if you're on a car allowance, you don't receive the 57 cents. If you go outside the MSA, like you go to Atlanta, you would receive a reduced rate for mileage outside of the MSA. And I'm not quite sure exactly what that is,
Okay.
but I can find out real quick.
So if I go beyond Harris County, from Harris County to Atlanta, I get
That's
it.
correct.
Thank you for clarifying that. I knew that there was something in addition to that, yeah. Lisa.
Any further questions? And that's it. Just
And so
real brief.
with this information, Madam Mayor, then whatever the process is, or whoever's going to serve on this committee, they've at least got a document that provides all the information, I think.
And how does council join the committee? I know there's some who are very interested, others may want to be on other things. So who should they contact? Tiasha, you, Lisa, who?
Well, if they would just contact Tiasha and let her know that they're interested in serving on the committee, and then we'll provide that information to everybody and go from there.
Okay, Councilor Allen.
3250.
Well, it started out, of course, some years ago at, I believe it was maybe 550. I don't have all the details. And then that was when the IRS rate was like 30 cents a mile. Yeah, once you come around. And then as the IRS increased their rate, I think the adjustment under the previous city manager and administration was made.
And that's correct. When the IRS mileage rate would go up, then during the budget process, the car allowance, monthly car allowance would be adjusted up. That hasn't been done probably in the last 3-4 fiscal years, I believe. It's been $632.50 for quite a number of years.
Yeah.
But the mileage rate is up to 57.5 cents, and I think at the time it was in the 30s, and then incrementally it's been increased.
And again, in the past years, I think it was adjusted as IRS adjusted, but in recent years, IRS they've made the adjustment, but we have not
We
adjusted.
have not changed the car allowance through the budget process.
It seems there would be, well, we can talk about it in the car committee, but it just seems to me that it would be a better approach to pay the mileage than to pay the $650 a month.
Well,
Just have the folks keep up with the miles they're using for work.
And I think initially, as I said, the car allowance did not come under my leadership. I think it was people in certain positions. Obviously, we have people running all over the place, and they tracking. I went over here 1 mile, and I went over here 2, and at their level, it was just not efficient to have them keeping a piece of paper trying to track. And so a car allowance, and car allowances go back probably 30 years.
Well, I agree with you, but just because that's the way we've always done it, doesn't mean there's not better ways
Well,
to look at it.
no.
There are GPS tracking systems that you could put on a car that would track their mileage and
Well,
be able to compute it within, to
There
a
again,
small
it's not-
degree. I know it's an additional cost, but
It-
$650 a month for
It's-
a number of employees is
and it's not unusual for people at this level to get a car allowance.
Well,
But
it's not, as I understand it, it's not in lieu of mileage, it's in lieu of getting a car.
yes,
So you
it
would
is.
be. you
It's
would be-
either or.
It's not just the mileage, it would be the purchase of a car and the maintenance of a car and all that comes with it. I know the former mayor had a car, and I didn't have a car, and so it's just a matter of, I guess, election or whatever, but it's not just the mileage, it's the
Well,
purchase of the
absolutely.
car.
I was just responding to his mileage question, how you would be tracking a mile here and a mile there.
Right.
But when, as part of the offer in their positions, it was a car, take-home car or car allowance. When I was director level at Metra, and then when I became deputy city manager, obviously that was what the offer was.
Councilor Baker?
When is the reimbursement used versus when the allowance is used? Or are they used at the same time? It specifically refers to a reimbursement or an allowance.
It's this, that, on that particular page, that's the same thing. It's not a reimbursement.
Oh, okay. It's an allowance calculated at a reimbursement rate, because they're not. They're specifically different, but
Oh, no, this is different. Mhm. Yeah, those are two different items. The allowances, of course, just for the car allowance, and the mileage reimbursement at the bottom is just that, mileage reimbursement. So there are two different issues.
okay. And so the same person could have both?
No,
No.
that's what we were saying. If you have a car allowance, that's all you receive is a
They
car allowance.
wouldn't handle the reimbursement.
It sounds like you're trying to share with
Those who
him.
use their own vehicle?
Yes.
I'm just trying to clarify. So those who use their own vehicle,
Who don't receive a car allowance.
who don't receive a car allowance,
Receive
submit
mileage reimbursement.
submit a reimbursement rate. Okay,
Right.
that's what I was trying to get to. Thank you.
All right, I think that concludes the comments. And again, if you'd like to be on the committee, just contact Tiasha or the city manager's office, and we'll go ahead and pull that together, start meeting. Okay, what's next, Mr. City Manager? Does that conclude? Oh, we got Councilor Huff.
Yeah, I had a question for City Manager.
Okay.
When you finished?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
Wanted to check in with you about the Brown Avenue Bridge.
Yes.
Getting phone calls about when the lights are going up, grass being cut, we
Yeah.
have snakes, rodent problems. We have people hanging out behind houses at night because it's dark. And there's also, I guess, one we probably need to contact Georgia Power on one that's not well lit, but it's up, that probably needs either a new globe or cleaning out or something.
If it's an existing light, that's correct.
One's existing, yeah. The others, we're just wondering when the official.
They are working on that now. They have installed some of the plates. Because of the difficulty in access, they're doing it a little bit at a time. And they've also had some other commitments they've had to meet contractually, such as putting the signal up at Technology in Chatsworth. So they had to redirect their forces over there as well. But they have been actively working on getting the plates.
How soon?
They haven't really given me a timeline. I would say probably in the next couple of 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
And we have also reported the grass and the rodents issues to Georgia DOT. It is still actively part of their contract, so we can't really go in there and do anything because they haven't released control to us, and it is something that they should take care of.
How soon do they normally clean up after they finish a project?
I'm really not sure. Again, that's part of a Georgia DOT contract. I will let him know that it came up again today at council to hopefully get them to go ahead and take action.
There are a couple of people over there that can't afford to clean that much property up, but they're trying to figure a way to save money to get it cleaned up so they can go outside because of the snake problem.
Yes, Ms. Goodwin has been keeping me informed on when she gets complaints, and I refer them over to Georgia DOT, and I will, again, contact them and see if we can get them to go ahead and do something.
Okay. My other question would be on some of the other properties that we've checked over the years. We still have to contact the owner of the property before we cut the yard.
We have to contact the
owner.
Yeah, we go,
And
I mean,
then-
some absentee landowners,
Okay.
yeah, we
I'll get you the
go through our
addresses.
process to make, yeah.
Because we have one that's just continuously, it's been going on, I
Yeah.
guess, 3 or 4 years. And it's probably now about 2.5 feet tall. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Donna, just interested, can somebody check, maybe it's animal control, are snakes related to high grass? I mean, because my understanding is snakes are related to where they have dens and things, where they have laid eggs. And again, I don't want to, I'm not a snake expert, don't care to know that much about snakes, but I think we need to know what things can we fix that affect whether or not snakes are there, and what things, yeah, right, food, right, and what things that we do have absolutely no bearing on whether or not snakes are there. I would just find that fascinating, so that we can start doing the right things that eliminate snakes and not doing the things that don't eliminate snakes. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure we have some scientific basis for what we're marshaling our resources to do.
We can get that information.
Yeah. Councilor Huff?
And the property there on St. Mary's Road that sits between Holly Hills, Robin Avenue, and St. Mary's, how often do we clean that?
You talk about the properties that the city now owns?
Yeah, you
Where
know,
we
between
tore
the
them
railing of the road and the houses, there's an area.
Well, I don't know exactly where you're talking, but if I can make sure that staff
Yeah.
record it,
Okay.
and as I was saying earlier, on right-of-way, I mean, we are very limited, and, you know, when we have very rainy periods,
Well, you know, they put the guardrail up,
yeah,
and there's a piece of property that I guess they come in from a side street and go down, and it's just open area, but between the houses, and I'll try to get you.
yeah, we can have deputy city manager.
I'll give you the
Goodwin
address. Okay.
to check there, have staff to check it.
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
In regard to that, and with the snakes, one of my ex-constituents, well, one of Trump's constituents, she has had problems with snakes coming from the property next door to her, who has a pool in the backyard, whose grass has not been cut, and she has been trying for the last 4 months to get us to do something. Now, I'm tired of getting the phone calls.
Sure. Yeah, and my only point is that, for instance, and I don't want to start getting hate mail about being a snake hater,
My
but
thing is-
if the cure is to poison the den of the snakes, and it's our responsibility, shouldn't we be doing that instead of something else? I mean, you know, that's sort of my point is, if we're in the snake elimination business, what's the best way to eliminate snakes? And I don't know that just sending our mowers out all over is actually having, I would like to see the effect of cutting grass on snake population. I don't know, but there's got to be somebody out there that knows how to eliminate and eradicate
We'll look
snakes.
into it
Now,
and see.
I'm sure we'll
Well-
start getting emails about the positive
It's
benefits of
not
snakes.
And we'll certainly pass that on to the appropriate department and division. I know that's not
My problem is...
your area.
My problem is, why should a person have to do this year after year? And this has been going on for like 4 or 5 years. Every year they have to call down here to get the grass cut next door because the property has been abandoned.
All right, you got your charge, Donna.
It's like,
Well, and
Go
it's not,
figure it
let me just be clear, that's not her area of work. So
I know,
we'll-
yeah,
we'll
actually.
get it to the
How
appropriate.
did you get up there during the snake?
She's talking about Brown Avenue Bridge.
Oh,
so-
okay.
but it's like we can't do something to our ordinance instead of us having to go through that original cycle to get in touch with those people. They know they haven't cut their grass and they don't live here anymore. And, you know, you spend 4 and 5 months calling citizen services, complaining, and we have to go through the same legal process. And Clifton now to be somewhere we can shorten that process, because it doesn't make sense. A whole summer has almost gone by. And then when the people went out there and cut the grass, they went out there and chopped it up. They didn't do a good job at cutting it.
All right, we got Councilor Woodson.
City Manager, on that note, since we're talking about grass, about 2 months ago, I reported it's like a path behind some residents' homes and the Oakland Park Shopping Center over there where Piggly Wiggly is, right behind it. There's the privacy fence, and then there's like a path there. I don't know if that's electrical or what. Several months ago, I made a call in. I know someone came out. They were having confusion of where it was. That's still there. I mean, it's gotten even bigger. I think in there, you're not going to take no lawnmower. You're going to need a weed eater or, you know, an axe or something to cut through that. But that really needs to be cleared out. And I think somehow or some way in this community, since we help each other on everything, we probably need to do a fundraiser or something. And you're going to laugh what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it. I think we need to do a fundraiser or something so we can get some lawnmowers for the city. Because people keep complaining and complaining, but our poor guys, because of our budget, are cutting grass with weed eaters. So maybe those out there listening will be nice enough and donate one. I know if we make any profit from the festival, I think I'm going to donate a lawnmower. Yeah, I think so, because the grass, it's raining more, it's getting higher and higher. People are making more demands, and we don't have them. And these poor employees are going out there with weed eaters. I've seen them. And that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I know it's silly, it might be stupid as some, but it's a reality of life.
But we've got that as a work order. You didn't see me writing, but staff, they got it.
Yeah, I saw it through the corner of my eye, Lisa over there writing.
And Tiasha, of course.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I think that concludes our discussion. We do have a request for a short executive session on...
Madam Mayor, you've got the clerk's agenda, right?
Oh, just so far ahead of myself, I can't stand it. All right, here we go. Mayor Pro Tem was under that impression, too.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
And we can do it after the clerk's agenda if necessary, but Engineering Director Newman wanted to mention the convert intent to two-way.
Okay.
And so if you want to come around. And, of course, council has already approved convert intent to two-way. Director Newman wanted to just mention the opportunity here to add bike lanes. So, if you will.
Okay. Your favorite? Got the presentation. Or I think he sent you some drawings on it. Or something.
He says it doesn't.
You don't have it? Okay.
Then
We can do it over there.
if you
We have been in process for a while of getting ready to convert 10th Street to two-way traffic, and part of the delay has been obtaining our permit for the work that's required on Veterans Parkway with Georgia Department of Transportation, and we think we're getting really close to that. So we want to continue with our work, and you've probably seen the mast arms that are in place where we're preparing to do the signal work. And in order to complete that, to get those signal heads installed, if you will, we have to know what the lane alignment might look like. And since council approved the conversion of the one-way to two-way, the city has taken the initiative to add bike lanes where it makes sense. And it's part of other programs. And so we started looking at 10th Street, and this is one of the areas that we think it would benefit to add bike lanes. We have coordinated with Gail, who is doing the Midtown Connection project, and we have also coordinated with the Bike Committee, and they all agree that this is a good idea. And so Doc came up with some proposals on how we would be able to do that. Now, it's going to change from block to block because of the amount of parking, and some parking's parallel, some parking's angle. And that's why you see a difference. And in some cases, we have parking that's angled on both sides, and there's really not an opportunity, there's not enough street width to do that. So we wanted to include that in your packet and get any questions or concerns that you might have before we move forward with setting the signal heads and at the appropriate time doing the striping. Doc, you want to explain anything in particular on that?
And so what's the timeline for moving forward?
Well, as soon as, if we get council's approval today, as soon as the contractor, who's the same contractor working on Brown Avenue, gets the opportunity in his schedule, he will start hanging the heads. And then as soon as we get our GDOT permit, which we hope we're really close, then we would begin the process of making those modifications on Veterans Parkway as well. And then we would be then ready for scheduling the conversion. And all of that has to be done on a schedule so that we have proper notification to the public and the businesses and get the information out to the public, such as variable message boards and advertising in the paper and that sort of thing.
Well,
So we're getting really close.
so Mayor and members of council, take a look at what she's provided to you. I think it was included in the ECAP and agenda package. And if you've got questions, let us know, and we'll be prepared to answer those questions at the August 25th meeting. At August 25th meeting. And then after that meeting, we're going to be ready to move it. Whether you have
Yes,
questions or concerns about what is presented, bike lanes, I just want to give you a little time in case you hear from constituents or whatever. And so on August 25th, I'll probably have her just stand back up to see if there are any questions.
All right.
And if there are no questions or concerns, then we're going to proceed forward.
We have Councilor Thomas.
I do have a question on between First and Second Avenue, where the fire station is. What happens to the bike lane on the fire station side of 10th Street? You're not going to have a bike lane going by the fire station, are you?
Yes, we will. I think the station is actually between Second Avenue and Third Avenue. We're going
Second, Third, you're right.
We're going to terminate the bike lane at Second Avenue because the diagonal parking west of there will not allow enough room to extend the lanes. But we do plan to have the bike lane go in front of the fire station.
Have you talked to the firemen about that?
The sidewalk goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between a sidewalk and a bike lane.
And we can and will
Please
talk
do
to
that.
them.
Please do that between now and
But-
whenever
but-
we meet again.
And I've talked to staff, and I know that they'll be able to control the signal
Right.
at Second and 10th when they got a call, and so, but we will.
We will do that.
We will.
We will do that.
All right. I think that then concludes it. We do need to do the clerk's agenda. And Lindsay, we will turn that over to you. If you will turn on Lindsay's mic, please.
Madam Mayor and Council, on the clerk's agenda, items 1 through 6 are for your information. Number 7 is a resolution authorizing the honorary, is that a motion? Authorizing the honorary designation of Brandon Woods Drive as Reverend Dr. J. Harold Carter Drive. I need a motion.
Okay, for some reason it's not showing up. Can you pull the agenda up on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I don't know why it's not pulling up, but Lindsay, if you could just read out those, obviously, that for action requested, since they can't see them, you'll just have to read them. There we go. Great. Thank you. So we're on number 7.
Yes.
We've got a motion and second for approval of a resolution authorizing the honorary designation of Brandon Woods Drive as Reverend Dr. J. Harold Carter Drive. All those in favor, please state aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve items 8 and 9. All those in favor, please state aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Item number 10 is a letter from George Mize advising that the hospital authority has selected Mr. Mike Welch to fill the seat of Paul Todd. Needs to be.
Yeah, I guess move for confirmation. It's probably, I think it's down later on the list, but that's certainly fine. Is that one of the ones where they have 3 and we have to wait till 3?
Yes, ma'am.
And so is this one of the 3 or is this? Okay. Is it listed on later? Why don't we wait so council can see all of the 3?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay.
Item number 11 is a letter from Ms. Gil Kent resigning from her seat on the Board of Tax Assessors.
And there's a second. All those in favor, please state aye.
Second.
We've got a motion and second that the minutes be received. All those in favor, please state aye.
On the Animal Control Advisory Board,
We've got a motion and second that Dr. Carrie Lynn Riddick be approved for the Animal Control Advisory Board. All those in favor, please state aye.
on the Board of Water Commissioners, Counselor Thomas has nominated Rebecca Roomer.
We've got a motion and second for approval of Rebecca Roomer for the Board of Water Commissioners. All those in favor, please state aye.
For the Keep Columbus Beautiful Commission, Nicole DeVeries has resigned from her seat. This is District 7's appointment. Region 6, Mayor Pro Tem has nominated Cynthia Smith to replace.
Okay. All right. We have Counselor Thomas.
I'd like to nominate Annie Davis.
Okay. And then we've got Counselor Baker. Did you have one as well? Okay. All right. Good, good.
We will bring this back at the next meeting. On the Taxi Cab Commission, we are renominating Ms. Gloria Brown.
We've got a motion and second for nomination. All those in favor, please state aye.
We are still trying to locate someone for Ms. Jody Sears' seat and Billy Kraft. On the Youth Advisory Council, we still need nominees for District 9 and District 10.
Okay, Counselor Thomas.
Natasha Benfield, B-E-N-N-P-F-I-E-L-D.
And that is it for the counselor's agenda, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Does that have to come back?
Can we confirm her now?
I think she can be confirmed since it's a district seat.
Okay, move for confirmation.
Okay, we've got a motion and second for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye. Okay. What else do we have? Let's see.
That's it.
That's it. All right, we've got a request from the city attorney for a short executive session on matters related to litigation. We have Counselor Barnes.
I'd like to request a resolution, when I just saw it, for Mr. Vincent Melillo. He is was a member of Murray's Marauders. That's the prototype of the Rangers. He's 97 years old. He is a true American hero, in my estimation. And secondly, I'd like to make a statement. I am so happy that here in Columbus we're going for a lot of activities that our citizens can go to.
Yeah.
Just biking, for instance, being stationed overseas, I think we're catching up to the Europeans as far as using the biking paths and things outdoors. And this past weekend, there were over 2,000 people at the old school jam that they had out there at Riverwalk, free to the public, free. Props to the Clear Channel on-air personalities, beginning with Little D and DJ Chip and all those, Big Skate, and all of those individuals there, because it was just marvelous to be among that huge a crowd of individuals here in Columbus. And Phoenix City came over, and to have such a marvelous time.
Yeah.
And we are definitely moving in the right direction, as you have said, about having individuals that will partner with us to make outdoor activities for the citizens here. So I just wanted to make that.
All right. Councilor Huff.
Council, Mr. City Manager, and Mr. City Attorney, just wanted to bring to your attention, during our meeting, our clerk, Tiny Washington, had to step out. She lost her aunt. So I just want to let all of you all know, please reach out to her and let her know we're thinking about it. That's why she had to leave abruptly. So reach out, give her,
Mr. City
give her your
Manager.
condolences.
Yeah. And Madam Mayor, on that note, I'll mention that Valerie Streeter, who's a part of the City Services Center, Citizen Services Center, but working in my office, lost her mother yesterday. She got a call at work yesterday, and she lost her mother. So keep her in your
Absolutely.
prayers and your thoughts.
We got a lot of good folks, and I hate that any of them would have to go through these types of things, so we most certainly will be keeping them and their families in our thoughts and prayers. So thank you all for letting us know about that. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive committee on items related to litigation. All those in favor, please state aye. All right. Please clear the chambers. Thank you. All right, we are back online after a short executive session related to matters of litigation in which no votes were taken. And that does conclude our business for this meeting. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We've got a motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor, please state aye. All right, we are adjourned. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you all.